Hello everyone and welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm the Spicer and today, well, we're doing kind of a twofer. We're still working on our redesign series and I wish it was the goof. The Gyan is next, but the Gyan doesn't have a lot to it, unfortunately. It doesn't have a model kit that I can do extra stuff with. It's literally just this design. So we're also going to talk about the Force Impulse as well. But first, a word from our sponsors over at Canadian Gundam. Because maybe you don't like these new seed designs and you want something classic. Maybe original recipe freedom. Well, they're going to have you covered. They've got all your Gunpla and plamo needs covered here in North America. If you're in the US or Canada, they've got flat rate shipping to you, they've got a private warehouse option, and they've got a vast catalog they restock regularly. So when you're checking that vast catalog for Freedom or maybe some older seed kits, don't forget to use the promo code Gunpla Network to save yourself 10% off. So the Gyan is one that in my original video I actually showed you guys a design someone else had marked up, and I actually think it looked really good. And that would be Evan Palmer over on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. And this was the design. This was kind of the redo. And I actually really like this. I think this design works better. I think the head makes a little bit more sense. It's a little bit lower profile. The backpack is brought down so you have more mobility up here in the shoulders. You have two big beam sabers, very reminiscent of the original Gyan, as well as the color scheme being a little bit more purple, which once again, very Gyan-esque. Now, as I said, we don't have a model kit version of this yet, so we don't have like a representation for the shield, unfortunately. But I really like this design, and I took a few cues from it when I went to go do my redesign, but stayed a little bit closer to this. Now, I did mention, like, one of my biggest complaints in the original video was the big wing things here on the head. I did not like these two things. Now, when we go through and look at my redesign, what do I do here? Well, I get rid of the wings. I think the backpack is neat, but if you're going to do a very melee-focused suit, well, Seed does have a lot of those with the big wings. I think it makes sense to, like, get rid of the wings and do, like, a flight pack doohickey or kind of get closer to the Fatum unit or something like that. Just because you're going to want a lot of mobility up here in the shoulders. So I shrunk the shoulders down, got rid of the big wings, got rid of the little two horns here, and got rid of the kind of helmet-esque part down here on the bottom. So if we, look at this, like, pop it back up there, it's got those two vents on the side of the head. I didn't really like that, and it didn't feel very original Gyanish to me, so I took those off, rather crudely, but I think that kind of frees up the head a lot. I know in animation it's not going to matter, but if we were to get a model kit of this, I would prefer something like this to get more head movement out of a pretty dynamic suit versus having that bumping into everything and not being able to look down or over to the side far. So I brought the shoulders in as well. Once again, that's something else Evan did. And instead of doing what he did and kind of leaving this separation here and keeping the chest pretty similar, I decided to just do one big unison unit. I think that looks better, in my opinion. It's not really super close to the original Gyan, but I think it's a little closer. And it's just something like those breaks that I don't think they're bad. I just don't really, it's not a design I'm super into. So I went ahead and closed that up. And that's pretty much it. Like, this design's pretty okay as is. It's not one that I'm going to sit here and labor over like, oh, this doesn't look good, this doesn't look good, this doesn't look good. I think it's pretty okay. I think out of the Zaft Xeon suits, this is the worst, though. I didn't really, I'm not a huge fan of the original Gyan, so by proxy, I'm not a huge fan of this either. I think the Goof is probably one of the best looking that, and the Zaku Warrior, probably a good close combination. The Doms, they felt a little basic, they felt a little close to the original Doms. And the Gelgoog Menace I do like, but I'm not sure where it falls in with the rest of those. But yeah, this one, it's fine, it does well. I like this, but I also like this head design's good. The more bulbous shoulders I think look good. The double beam saber thing and moving the wing pack down, also very good. Now, I also said we would be talking about the real grade, or just the Force Impulse in general. Now, we of course have the existing real grade, and we have the announcement of the real grade Spec 2, which is just a recolor, unfortunately. So I thought, well, if we're going to do this, why stick with the original Force Impulse? Like, even if you upped its power, its specifications, why wouldn't you change the look of it somehow? And of course, it's going to depend on some lore things as far as, is this something that they did bump up the power on in Shin's piloting? Is somebody else piloting because it just kind of happened to be around? It's hard to say. But a lot of my thoughts and some comments I had seen were talking about, not that, going to one of the other Impulse packs, like the Destiny Impulse pack, which makes a lot of sense. It exists, why don't we do that? So that's kind of what I did, as we'll see here. And as you can see, the color has changed very, very minorly, and this would be right up Bandai's alley to do in just minor recolors. But instead of just toning down the saturation like they've done, we go through and make it more Destiny-esque. So we replace the backpack unit, obviously, with the Destiny wings. Change the torso color here, add some red, make this blue, make this that kind of light blue here, which is pretty much all that it changes. Maybe add the gauntlets, right? And that's pretty much it. Then, of course, if you wanted to add those other, weapons on like this, you could. But I think this makes a lot more sense. Like, I know, obviously, this is much more kit bashy of like, oh, just throw the Destiny wings on it. And in lore, that maybe probably wouldn't work super easily. But, you have a lot of freedom, but it's to make a lot of those choices from a design perspective. And I think a lot of people would have been okay with that. But yeah, I think this is much more interesting and would probably get more people to purchase it versus just doing this. This is a good kit, by the way, just side note. It's really good. It's just, it irritates me that like all they did was just take the saturation slider down. It is really irritating. But yeah, so as far as the changes, I think this is really interesting in terms of what we could get model kit wise for the Force Impulse Spec 2. I think it's a cool look. I think the Destiny wings complement it, and obviously that's not perfectly to scale, but you get the idea. And having a Gyan that is a little bit more melee focused, a little bit smaller, a little bit less of a massive silhouette. Anyway, thanks for stopping in and watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments how you're liking this redesign series. And of course, as always, I've been the Spicer here with the Gunpla Network. Please do your best to stay safe and keep on building.